Hello, everybody. Lisa
and Amanda.
We are here to give you our thoughts on the book Not a Fan by Kyle Idleman. I know we already talked a little detail on it the first time, and this is our second time because we just finished the study. And like we said before, this book is on, are you a fan or are you a follower? And me and Amanda, as we were into the study, we realized that we were more fans than we were followers. And that's when we got these bracelets. I don't know if you remember from last time. What would Jesus do? To try to remind us that we need to follow Jesus through our everyday activities and lives that we are going through. We also, in this study, we learned that you have to surrender everything to God to be a follower. And this is expressed in Luke chapter 9, verse 23. And we're going to read it in two versions today. We're going to do it the King James Version, which Amanda will read, and then I will read in the Amplified Version. Okay, Amanda?
And he said to them all, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." Because in the way how this is said, many people will overlook it. But when you read it in the Amplified, it makes more sense.
Yeah, it says, "And he was saying to them all, if anyone wishes to follow me as my disciple, he must deny himself, set aside selfish interests, and take up his cross daily, expressing a willingness to endure whatever may come, and follow me, believing in me, conforming to my example in living, and if need be, suffering or perhaps dying because of faith in me." And who basically is telling us that he wants us to follow him, and he wants us to do it every day, not just on Sundays, every day. He wants us to follow him, even if it means having to suffer or die for him in faith of him. Wow, right? I mean, that's pretty big. I mean, he's over here telling us, hey, I want you to follow me, but even if it means dying and suffering. And that is where a lot of people become fans instead of followers, because they don't want to take that risk of having to suffer and die. They're like, why am I going to have to suffer to try to follow Jesus? Isn't he supposed to be all loving God and love us and everything? I mean, you think, it's going to be happy hunky-dory. No, there's times where you will have to take up your cross. Like he says, take it up cross daily and follow him. And Kyle Idleman, in his book, he uses like a little story to kind of explain this situation. Like, he told a couple, he was going away for the summer, and he told a couple, hey, can y'all house sit for me and everything? And they agreed. And so he gave them a little notebook saying that in this notebook it says everything that they needed to know to make sure that his house is nice and safe and everything's good when he comes back. And in this notebook, it talks about the times that it is to take the trash, so that way they know to take the trash out the night before so they can pick up the trash. It also tells when to water the plants and what time to feed the pets and yada, 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 so on and so forth. And if they follow the notebook, when he comes back, everything should be good. Well, think about it. He comes back after the summer, comes back to his home, and when he walks in the door, trash is all piled up everywhere. His plants are all withered and dried up. And his pets, he couldn't see them nowhere. And then he asks the people, where's my pets? And they're like, well, they ended up getting sick and dying, so we had to bury them out in the backyard. And you're all like, well, didn't you read the notebook? And they're like, yes, we read the notebook, and it was good, and it had a lot of information, everything that we needed to know. So it was so good that we shared it with our friends. We had even a little study on it, and we praise you. I mean, it was good. And then you're over here like, okay, and then if it was good and you knew everything in it, then how come you didn't apply it? And how come you didn't do it? And you're like, and they're over here like, well, they didn't have anything to say. And that's how Christians and people are nowadays. They read and they get into the Bible, they go to praise and worship, they do all this stuff, but yet they don't apply it to their lives. And because they don't apply it to their lives, it's basically, it's not, nothing's getting done. It's just there. And so So that's one of the reasons, he's like, is this where you are in your life? Are you going to church? Are you reading the Bible and, praising and worshiping on every Sunday, whatever, but not applying it to your everyday life? Is that, is that where you are in life, or are you applying it to your life? And,
because faith and being a follower, it's an act. It requires action, and it's a commitment. Because it also says in James 2, chapter 20, that faith without action is dead. And if you don't have action in your faith, then what good is it?
Right, exactly. I mean, what good is if you don't have no action? I mean, because that's where, and they say in the scripture in Luke, where it says, where a lot of people, they go on this road. Well, maybe it's not in Luke, but they go on this road, and there's the broad road, and then there's the narrow road. And a lot of people think they're on the right road, but they're actually not, because they're going to church, they're reading the Bible, but yet they're not applying it to their everyday lives, which it says in there, you need to take up your cross daily and follow him. And that's where, like, a lot of people, they put limits on. There's like, okay, you can have me on Sundays and when I'm reading my Bible or when I'm worshiping, but you can't go when I'm in my bedroom, or if I go out to the club, you got to stay here. You can't go with me. And God does not want that. He wants to be there in every aspect of your life. And that's where a lot of people, they just don't want that.
Especially in the shower.
And they don't want that. They don't want to have God in their lives everywhere, because then they feel like, I'm not ready for that commitment. So they stand back and they be a fan instead of a follower.
And Jesus never asked us to sit on the sidelines and cheer for his cause.
Right, exactly. He wants us to be right there, like in football, right in the middle, in the scrimmage, spreading that light and showing his love for him and being the disciple and, letting other people know about him. He doesn't want you just sitting there, like you said, on the sidelines. And so if is there anywhere that is off limits to where you don't want God there? If there is, you really need to look at that and think, why? Why don't I want him there? And figure out that, if you really truly want to be a follower, because you need to have him in every aspect of your life. And if that's something that's blocking you from having him fully in your heart, you really need to look deep into that and see what you can do to break that barrier to have him fully in your heart. And there's a lot of really good stuff in this book, and we do recommend, if you want to know more about being not a fan, and you want to be you want to be a follower and not a fan, I would suggest getting that book. It's really good. And if you have any questions on the book or anything that we might have said today or in the previous video, go ahead and leave your comments, and we will try to do our best to get to your answers or comments or whatever. And if you want to be a follower, you just got to take up your cross daily and follow him. And when you get into those tough situations, just think, what would Jesus do? And try your best to be a follower and not just a fan. Because, you want, if the time ever comes and when you die, or heck, when the world ends, you never know if that happens, you don't want to be found out that you weren't following the road that you were supposed to. And, well, anyway, thank you for listening to us. And like I said, if you have any questions, comment below and we will get back with you. Well, goodbye and God bless.
Bye.